Hello, welcome to an overview presentation of the Blockchain Healthcare Provider Directory. This is a proof of concept application developed by Beltane to demonstrate the use of a shared decentralized ledger that regulators, hospitals, medical schools, and payers can all utilize. We'll sign on here first as the payor A. Just copy and paste the credentials from the logon page. You'll see that a payor can see the search on physicians. They can see all the regulators, see all the medical schools. They can also search on hospitals and search for usernames. There are nearly 10,000 usernames authorized in this blockchain database. There are two each for every regulator, medical school, and hospital. Now, payor will want to find physicians and determine their payment eligibility status. We'll just put in a search string there. As you can see, as long as the physician last name has those characters in there, they will be returned in the search. Please do remember to put in at least a few characters. There are nearly 200,000 physicians in this blockchain database. And your browser would not like it if you tried to return all 200,000. Even with a set of common characters like VAN, you can see there are quite a few physician names that are returned. You can then double click on any given physician to get more detail. In this case, you'll see there's an overall status of active. That's because the regulator status is set to active and the hospital status is set to active. Here we see the hospital that physician is currently registered at. Now what we want to do is find some usernames here. We'll need a regulator username. All regulator usernames start with REG followed by the two-letter state abbreviation. So to find the Alabama regulator usernames would be REGAL. We'll stick with Florida. That was where the user that we were the physician we were just looking at is located. I'll copy and paste that into my notepad here. Then I'm going to want to find the usernames for that hospital. You'll note that hospital usernames have the hospital ID as part of the overall username string. So we'll save those for utilization in just a couple of seconds. So I'll sign off now as the payor, and I will sign on using the regulator username and the regulator password. This is regulator A for the state of Florida. I'll now search for that physician that we just looked at briefly a second ago. Let's see, there they are. Now, as a regulator, I can change the status to inactive. I'm not able to change the hospital status or any of the other information on that physician. I'll hit search to refresh, and you'll note now that the physician's overall status has been set to inactive. That's because one or other of the regulator or hospital status is set to inactive. They have to both be active in order to get an overall status of active. Now we'll sign on quickly here as the hospital account. One of the usernames for the hospital, there's A and B. We're using B here. You can see hospitals can only see physicians. They can't see regulators and medical schools. There's that physician we just looked at as a regulator. Double click on them to see that the overall status is inactive because the regulator has set them to inactive. Now as the hospital, we will set them to inactive as well. There will be no change in the overall status. It's still going to be inactive because one or the other of the two statuses is set to inactive. So we'll sign back on quickly here as the regulator to demonstrate that. So while the regulator can go in and find that physician, and they can then set the regulator status to active, they cannot change the hospital status, and so therefore there's no change in the overall status. And we'll sign on quickly again as that hospital account. We'll search for that physician. See, they're still set to inactive. That's because while the regulator set them to active, I, as the hospital, still have them as inactive. I'll set them back to active, save them, and now retrieve, and you'll see that their status has gone back to active, meaning that both the regulator and the hospital have certified that all credentialing and so on has been satisfied, and they are now eligible for payment reimbursement. That's a brief overview. Please stay tuned for upcoming videos that show a little bit more detail. We'll also be identifying some of the coding and performance needs of an application using the Hyperledger blockchain. We hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to contact us for any questions, training, development of proof of concepts, prototypes, and so on. And of course, if you click on the link in the upper right, you will be able to go to the link and operate this application yourself. Thanks for attending. Hope you enjoy.